Uh, without any, further delay, I'd actually like to introduce you to the two featured speakers we have today. One's Rajiv Sajja. Rajiv is actually, by background, a engineer and turned entrepreneur in the health and wellness area, and also currently works with the Fortune 50. He's a Fortune 50 executive by day and a wellness coach and entrepreneur by passion. And Rajiv has been my coach in the wellness area and also in entrepreneurship for the last over 10 years. And Rajiv will talk about foundational health and prevention. The other featured speaker we have is John. And John actually will be talking about the area of muscle strength and in that aspect. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite Rajiv to start.
Shobit, thank you for that wonderful introduction. My degrees are not as big as yours. You're the medical doctor in the room today. But just to summarize a little bit, first of all, some disclaimers, okay, before I begin my presentation. I want to congratulate all of you that took the time to invest in your health tonight. I am not a medical doctor, okay? Unlike Shobit, I am not a medical doctor. I'm focused more on prevention and wellness so that we only go to the doctor when we absolutely need them, okay? And we need them. We're blessed with some really good doctors in our life. So my goal is to empower you with some information. Some of it might be a reminder. Some of it may be new, how I have approached my health, and several people on the call that are implementing some of these things. So that's the purpose tonight. And as soon as I'm done, I'm going to turn it over to John to talk about another area that is very critical. So let me share the screen. And my goal is not to hide behind a presentation, but really have a conversation with you. Okay. Unlike many things, you can buy things and replace things. You can't replace your body. Right? And the sooner we can come to a realization of that, the better it is. Okay. Right. So this was from the 2025. Every year, New Year's Day, people take resolutions. Okay. Out of the top 11 things people want to do, 6 of them are related to health. And almost all of them are prevention. The ones I've highlighted in the box, that's what we're going to focus on today. Some of you may be good at certain things. Some of you may need some help at certain things. And that's really what today is about, to empower you. Because if you take control of your own health, there's nothing like it. Okay. And I am a living example, like several people on the call. I have things to work on, but I'm in a much better place today compared to years ago. Okay. So we're going to focus on these things here. Okay. Only 12% of people are metabolically healthy, which is a crazy number. Okay. And chronic illnesses is nothing new here, right? If you look at America, the United States of America is the resource-rich country in the world, but one of the unhealthiest countries in the world. So there's a lot of things that are working against us. But if we take control, we can change that for ourselves, our families, everybody around us, right? Here are the 5 chronic diseases and the number one cause of death in the United States of America is heart disease. Right? And it was not the case 100 years ago. If you read the history books, it's not the case. But there's a lot of contributing factors to that. When you recognize the problem, that's half the solution. Right? So I want to help you recognize the problem and adjust our life so that we can live a long life. Look, in this country, if you fall sick, the medical professions are so good, like Dr. Shobit, they'll keep you alive. Okay. That's where the money is also, by the way. Okay. That's called the lifespan. My goal is not lifespan. My goal is health span, right? Which is live long, healthy, and one fine day, when it's your day, you're gone, versus being a burden for your family, right? And these chronic illnesses are in front of us and we got to navigate, right? So how do you navigate these 5 things, right? So unfortunately, there are 3 industries. Okay. These 3 industries I'm going to talk about are 30% of the US economy. Okay. And you'll see the problem when I present it to you. The first is big farming. This is the area of, they're making now, I read an article recently, they're making 500 calories more per day per human in the US than they were doing 30 years ago. which means they want you to eat more, and it is a processed food problem. Big pharma, okay? Big farming. Okay, we'll come to big pharma in a second. Big farming is processed food. So if we are subscribed to that, we are in the toxic triad. I call it a Bermuda Triangle, since it's everybody's knows about the Bermuda. If you get into the triangle, it's hard to get out. Okay, and the world and the economy wants you to subscribe to the triangle. Okay, big farming is part of that. The next one. Again, look, I'm talking to myself here. We're all guilty of eating some fast food. Okay, nothing wrong with it, but it is part of the problem. Okay, it is part of what we're putting in our body. Look, we control what we put in our bodies. We absolutely control it, right? But the world makes it extremely hard to live healthy. And I want to empower you today. Once you have this information with you, you will actually do well. We're convinced of it, because you can take baby steps and change the direction of your life. Okay, fast food. Okay, how many of you have ever had a burger, supersized French fries, all of that stuff? It just, I mean, I've had too many to name, but maybe not that many since I've gotten revelation about how I should become more healthy. Okay, these two contribute to the next one, which is big pharma. Okay, which is medication. If you've ever gone to a medical doctor, which you all should go get an annual checkup done, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about some elements you should keep an eye on. But they don't give you prevention. Like, when was the last time your doctor, my doctor, actually, my personal care physician, is actually quite unhealthy the way he looks. Okay. But they've never given me advice on what to do to prevent it. It's almost like they go there and they give you medication. They're designed to give you medication because that's what feeds the economy. So here's my question before I move on from this slide. If we are actually very healthy and we subscribe to wellness, are you contributing to any of these three industries? Probably not. You're outside looking in, and which means the US economy, these companies don't like us. And by the way, there's no money in prevention. The money is in the care. Money is in making people sick. Unfortunately, these are the forces against us. I just want us to recognize it. Okay, this is just statement of fact. Okay, so profits of pharma companies. I mean, we can belabor the point, but 24 billion they spent to market the drugs to doctors, not to consumers, so they can prescribe these drugs. And look at the profits these companies have made on the right. So it is a whole circle, by the way. Processed food, fast food, medication, and lifespan, not enough good health span. Okay. Again, if you're on medication today and you're on this webinar, don't make any changes without talking to your physician. Okay. Because I'm not a medical doctor. My goal is to help you get habits so you can prevent, right? That's the whole goal here. Okay. This quote from Chris Rock really stood out to me. Ain't no money in the cure. The money is in the medicine. That's how you get paid. Okay. Because they want you to come back. Okay. That's the only way you subscribe to the whole thing, right? Okay. So I want to give you a few things. Okay. I was like this. I suspect many people on this call are like this. When you go to your annual physical, right? And you get blood work done. Our blood never lies, by the way. Okay. Blood is where all the problems come up. Okay. It's a good idea to self-monitor blood pressure levels. But when was the last time you looked at your blood report? I used to be like this. I don't know about you. My doctor used to call, hey, I think you need to do some, maybe you need to get this medication. Everything else looks good. Fine. Just get some exercise. Basic advice, and that's it. I never looked at my own numbers to track them. Is it getting better or is it getting worse? So I want to empower you a little bit. The next time you go to a blood work, be more proactive about your own blood results, right? Know the numbers, right? The first one is here is glucose profile. This is sugar. Pre-diabetic. Remember, diabetes, type 2 diabetes is one of the chronic illnesses. You need to look at your glucose profile. Again, our goal is not to sell products to fix things. There's no magic pill for health, by the way. It's a whole thing, right? You got to subscribe to different aspects of it, right? So this is one. The other one is nutrition profile. Most people are deficient in vitamin D and they don't even know it. There just are, because you're not getting enough exposure, especially with COVID, because work from home, they're not getting exposure. A lot of other things are contributing to this, right? And the third one is lipid profile, which is your cholesterol. Can you do yourself and your family a favor that you take proactive action towards knowing your blood results? And if you've not gotten for an annual checkup, go do it and ask your doctor. Most doctors even don't test for vitamin D unless you tell them to test it for it. So when they give you, so just be proactive. That's my message here today, and track these results. Because if you know your numbers and you decide to sort of partner with the person that's invited you, you want to form an accountability partnership so your numbers get better 3 months from now. That's when you know what we're giving you as a solution is working, right? Otherwise, why partner with us? Okay, we all have genes, by the way. Like my dad has high blood pressure. Okay, which means that's probably part of my genes. But genes, everybody's got it, you can't change it. But our lifestyle is what pulls the trigger, by the way. It is the lifestyle. Okay, so we're going to talk about 4 pillars today. John's going to touch on one of them, but I want to talk about 4 pillars of your health that if you own, and some of you may need help in more than one of these 2 areas, but that's fine. We're going to do a little poll here shortly. First thing is nutrition. I want to come back to each of these. Next one is movement or exercise. And as I'm showing this, rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How good are you at these things? Just in your mentally, just kind of because recognizing where you are is half the solution, because then you can move in these areas, right? Next one is sleep. More and more people, by the way, are struggling with sleep just because of the stress. Next one is stress. Look, if we are alive, we have stress. It's a given. But how do we manage stress is important. Okay? Chronic stress is not good. That's the important part, right? So these are the 4 areas we're going to talk about. So the first is, I want you to think about our body is made up of cells, cellular health. Okay? Very important. And the reason I wanted to show you this slide is very telling, because if you don't, the reason when we go to our doctor with a problem, okay, let's say, you have some issue, it is an organ issue, is when we go to the doctor, which means the problem has been festering in our bodies for a while, which is cells. So I want to help you address your cellular health with our approach today, okay, right? So symptoms show by the organ level, and that's when you go to the doctors, okay? But if you address it at the cells, because our bodies are made up of billions of cells, and make our cells healthy, then the tissues are good, organs are good. Make sense, right? So that's the focus of cellular health. And here are the 5 areas of cellular health. Macronutrients, protein, fat, carbs, fiber, we get it in our food. Some we maybe not getting enough in our food, all of those things, macronutrients. Phytonutrients are fruits and vegetables. Not many people are getting enough fruits and vegetables. If you're not focused on it, it's not going to have enough content, right? Micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. These are micronutrients. Some food delivers it based on what your lifestyle is. You may need some supplementation with your vitamins and minerals. Again, it's based on your lifestyle. And then water. Are we getting enough water in our system, right? These Stanley cups have become so popular. Everybody's carrying it, but I don't know how many people are actually drinking the water that they need in their bodies, right? So it's important to have enough water, because 60% of our bodies are water, right? And we're also breathing air, by the way. That's the one thing we don't even know we're doing. We're breathing, okay? Hopefully we all are, right? So good air is important, right? These are the 5 areas I want to kind of show you and give you a path to do that. Okay, so let me just kind of go to okay. Whatever we're putting in our body are either feeding disease or fighting it. Nutrition and supplementation. Let's address this pillar, okay? Nutrition pillar. So is our diet well balanced? Most people I was like this. Again, I'm talking about myself for the most part. I used to eat to be full, not eat to be healthy. Does that make sense? Right? Are you eating the right kind of food? Nutrition. And I'll share a quick story. When I was growing up in India, when my mom gave me breakfast, after breakfast, the kitchen was closed. There was nothing available to eat till lunch and dinner. Now, an average American is nibbling on something every 20, 30 minutes. Did you know that? We are a snacking country. we have snacks just walking around. You go look at the fridge. How many of you are guilty of this? You go open the fridge to see what's there to eat. We're all guilty of it, okay? Again, recognizing the problem is half the solution, right? And I came to this country in 1989, and there were very few aisles in the grocery store for snacks. Now there's aisles and aisles of only snacks. Remember the three toxic triad. They want you to buy these snacks because it is processed food, all of that stuff. So it's feeding, right? Make sure you're eating the right food, right? Is a diet well balanced. 90% of adults are not getting enough nutrients from their food, okay? So how do you fill the nutritional gap, right? So the right and proper supplementation will fill the nutritional gap. That's the key. So I want to play a short video. I want to actually stop the share and reshare. Just make sure that I've shared the sound here. And I want to play this video so you understand macro, micro, and phytonutrients, right? And how they function in relation to, if you think about building a home, your body is like a home, bricks, cement, right? All that's electricity, right? So let's watch this video. It's a minute long.
There are more than 7 billion people in the world, yet every body has essentially the same foundational nutrition needs. Most people, however, have a hard time satisfying these needs and aren't getting the essential nutrition their bodies crave. If you take the analogy of a house, imagine that proteins are the bricks that help our bodies grow and repair cells. These building blocks are one of 3 macronutrients: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Micronutrients, or vitamins and minerals, are the mortar that helps sustain life, and they help us create a really strong foundation. Phytonutrients, nutrients found in plants, help protect the integrity of the bricks and mortar. And omega-3 fatty acids, another macronutrient, help support the house's electricity and plumbing, or nervous and cardiovascular systems. You may not be eating enough of all these essential nutrients as part of your daily diet. The Nutrilite Foundational 4 helps ensure that everybody is getting the right amount of these essential building materials.
So if you look at why that video is helpful for you to understand the 3 types of nutrients that you need to put in your body. Some you're getting it through your regular diet, nutrition. Some you're just not. So you need to fill the nutritional gap. And I'm going to give you some recommendations on where to begin. And then when you meet up with the person that's invited you, you can build on that to develop a personalized health plan, right? Okay. So the company we partner with is Nutrilite. Why Nutrilite? Because they are first of all, they're world's number one in selling vitamins and dietary supplements. But more importantly, they take exceptional care. And I would encourage you to go to Amway.com and go to the footer and click on Nutrilite, and you'll understand their practices, how they farm seed to supplement. To know, I'm going to show you a couple of examples so you know, if you think you're taking multivitamins, as an example, from a different brand, I'm going to show you a quick video that shows the demo of the care of the product and the result, right? So that you're investing money wisely and the right amount of supplementation. So Nutrilite is our banner brand, if you will. That is a foundational brand for health and wellness that we partner with. So here's now, why is it number one? Because of the reasons I mentioned. I want you to do a little bit, and the person that's invited, you can share some information. But also imagine major sports organizations. For example, AC Milan, okay, soccer team, world renowned. They would not, by the way, there are a lot of people endorse a lot of things, but this team actually uses Nutrilite for their own sports nutritional journey. Now, imagine a sportsman that's making millions of dollars a year actually putting these products into their body. They would have done a lot of research, right? So it stands the test of time. So this is a short video I want to show you.
Their intensity, relentless. Their accuracy, stunning. Their supplements, Nutrilite. AC Milan, the most successful team in football. Nutrilite on the forefront of nutritional science. Together, they are 2 teams with one goal: to expand the boundaries of performance through the science of nutrition. Tested on the field, trusted by the best. Nutrilite and AC Milan, where leading-edge nutrition meets world-class performance.
So I want to start with some recommendations for you on nutrition before we move off this topic. One is, I believe the foundational supplement that many of you need is Nutrilite XX. Okay. And again, I want you to look into it in terms of what it has. And I'm going to show you a quick demo here. And maybe some of you are familiar with Centrum as an example, right? Now, if you look at it here, there's really no comparison, right? If you look at Centrum, it gives you 4 healthy benefits. Nutrilite gives you 10. But look at where it shines. 40 plus total nutrients, 450 milligrams of plant nutrients, which are phytos. There's really no plant nutrients in Centrum. But sometimes we think if we take a supplement, it'll help us. But what if it doesn't dissolve in our bodies and it just goes out through our system versus actually being consumed? So I'm going to share a short demo that shows the power of XX versus Centrum in a video. So you can kind of see what happens inside our body. Remember, our body is 60% water. So when we take these supplements, what happens? Let me play this video here for you.
Here I have a setup comparing 2 brands. One is the competing brand, which is Centrum, and our exclusive brand, Nutrilite, which is the XX multivitamin. The XX multivitamin includes 3 tablets. One of them is the multivitamin, the multimineral, and the phytonutrients. So in each cup I have warm water, half cup of warm water, and I'm going to drop each tablet into their cups. So as it slowly releases its content, we're going to see what happens to each tablet as they go through the heat of the water, as the cups of water represent our bodies. Okay, so let's see what happened to our competing brand first. I've only let like maybe 10 seconds pass by, and as you can see, if you can hear that, the Centrum hasn't really fully dissolved, like a brick in water. So you can't really, it's not really getting its nutrients absorbed into the body yet. And then here we look at the XX multivitamin, and you see the top layer has already shed. Wow. Gentle, meaning that it has already been fully dissolved. And would you look at that gorgeous orange color? So the orange comes from the marigold plant, and you can definitely see how there's basically no remnants of the tablet left, meaning that the XX has already been fully incorporated into the body. So now let's look at the multimineral. And it's the same thing, basically. I didn't have to do anything. I just moved the water a bit, and it's already fully incorporated. So the green comes from the peppermint and the dark green plants, which shows that nice pale green here. And then here, you can kind of see it. This is the phytonutrients tab. And again, it's the same thing. Well, this one's taking a little while, but the purple comes from the berry blend, which is the elderberry, the blackcurrants, and the blueberries.
So you get an idea that, it's just not 2 supplements are made equal. You got to look at why XX takes the process, seed to supplement, and why Nutrilite is better than the competition. And so when you are investing time and resources, your money in supplementation, you want to get the right supplement. So XX is our foundation. Sometimes, do you know that 70% of our immunity is in our gut? So we encourage you possibly to consider a balance with probiotic, which is something I take every morning in my routine when I wake up. Vitamin D. Again, if your blood work reveals your vitamin D is north of 50, you may need to take just maybe 1 vitamin D. But most people are under 50, 40, even 30. For those, you need to take vitamin D, because if your lifestyle doesn't change, where are you going to get the vitamin D from? And then omega. So these are things I personally take myself. Okay. Now, some of you might want to look at something like a perfect pack, which is a combination of 3 things, like fruits and vegetables are included. Again, that's where the personalization occurs. No supplement is right for all people. You got to find your right mix. But this is foundational supplements for men or women that we help you recommend. So in 90 days, we want to have you see a difference. Otherwise, and all these products come with a 6-month money-back guarantee, unconditional money-back guarantee. So if your lifestyle and how you feel doesn't change after 90 days, you can get your money back. Okay, that's the power of the partnership. So let me kind of go into sleep, the next pillar. Okay, do you know how many people get 7 hours of good sleep every night? Not many, right? Because the more that people are, and there are some good habits I want to recommend to you for sleep. Okay, it's just habits, and maybe some supplementation for some that need it, but mostly habits. Keeping a regular schedule, by the way, sleep schedule is vital. Okay, you need to have a regular schedule. You can't be sleeping at 1 a.m. one night, 10 p.m. one night. And there is something called deep sleep. I want to show you my sleep metric in the next slide, and you'll see REM sleep and deep sleep. You need to get that to regenerate your muscle. Okay, all of those things are very important. But most people sleep with the TV on in their bedroom. If it not good, blue screens are not good at all. Pick up a book and read right before you go to bed. Okay, very important. So have some good habits, because you want to shut off your technology a few hours before. Keep it dark and cool, right? Get anxiety, deep breathing. Maybe you need to do a little bit of meditation. Stress is another thing that is really hurting people right now. Okay, and avoid big meals. When do you finish the last thing you put in your body at night? What time is that? And when do you sleep? There's got to be at least a 3-hour difference, because your metabolism have to burn it off. Okay, so here's I track my sleep, by the way. I track my sleep. Some days my scores are not 90s, some days they're in the 80s, but most days my goal is to aspire to get to 90s. So look at the REM sleep, look at the deep sleep. You need to get at least 7 hours of good quality sleep. And typically that's in the range after 10:30 to 7. That is the range where you get good quality sleep. See, unless you work at nights, there's a different situation, fine. Look at the resting heart rate. These are things I want you to start tracking for yourself. You got to be having a good, that means how hard is your heart working when you're sleeping, right? All those things. Now, some of you, if you're struggling with sleep and you need a supplement for your sleep, there are sleep health but for me personally, magnesium has helped me a ton, because 40% of America don't get enough magnesium. And look at what all it helps you with, by the way. It helps you with occasional stress and sleep, and also helps you with heart and nerve, muscle and brain health. Now, if you need to kind of push you over the edge and get into a routine and get good sleep, consider magnesium. Okay. All right. Next one, stress. 55% of Americans are stressed during the day. Okay. Stress is given because we're alive, but how do you manage stress, right? Let me give you a couple of examples. Meditation. Okay. Even if you just did 5 to 10 minute, I call it breathing exercises when you wake up, or even when you before you go to bed, it will help you. Okay. Build that into your routine. Yoga is great for that. Meditation. I subscribe to an app that gives me different types of meditation. By the way, life is boring if you don't laugh. It really is. Okay. And if you have to laugh at somebody else's expense if you need to pick one. But don't be serious. Okay. Laughter is a great way to relieve stress. Okay. It's a great way. The other one that I found that relieves stress is to be part of a health and wellness community. So the person that's invited you here, if you partner with them, you can partner with them to create a community for yourself, right? Because the journey of health and wellness should not be done alone, right? There's a supportive community that's available. If you can tap into these things, you will minimize your stress. Okay. Okay. I want to touch on exercise a little bit before I turn it over to John. Movement and fitness is key. One of the key pillars besides nutrition. Obviously, I'm not minimizing sleep or stress, but movement are key, important. 4 types of exercise I recommend. And I'm a living proof. I do this every week. And think of, you need to have 150 minutes of exercise a week. 30 minutes a day. You can take a couple of days off here and there, but 150 minutes you need. Okay. What type of exercises? Sometimes we tend to think, I was talking to one of my friends, and they said, I walk every day. That is a great starting point. But if you walk aimlessly and not purposefully, you're not getting to your goals. Okay, I'll give you an example, like cardio. Like if you're not doing aerobics, which is fast walking, okay, you need to focus and do things like aerobics. That's where you get, I call it, your heart performance grows up, and it is longevity. It is an indication to longevity. Okay. Flexibility, strength is muscle. John's going to touch on that. He's going to focus on that topic, because as we age, we lose 6 to 8% of muscle mass every decade. It's a given. If you don't work on it, you're going to lose that and more. But if you work on it, it slows down. Okay. Flexibility and balance. How many of you know people as they age, they lose their balance and they just fall. All those things happen because they've not proactively focused on these 4 areas. Okay. So yesterday, a couple of days ago, I have a bike at home. So I do a 45-minute ride every Saturday morning. It's part of my weekly routine. It's called Endurance Power Zone, where I work for 45 minutes, by the way, to burn 490 calories. Okay. This is from my app, Peloton app. And this is, if you exercise, you burn that many calories. I was really tired at the end of it. And then a couple of weeks ago, somebody gave me a Dunkin' Donuts blueberry muffin, okay? Which I'm a big fan of the blueberry muffin. I gave it up a long time ago, but I succumbed to the blueberry muffin a week ago, and it was 460 calories, 44 grams of sugar, and I ate it in 10 minutes flat. So my message is this: if you work out, you will resist those things because you know how hard it is to burn those things, okay? It took me 45 minutes to burn 490 calories and 10 minutes, and let alone the sugar. Look at the sugar. It's double the daily average in one muffin. And we sometimes eat it all day. I just want to have you build good habits, okay? Okay, last slide before I turn it over to John. There are 2 indicators of longevity. One is VO2 max, which is your heart and respiratory fitness. If you have an iPhone, there's several ways to track it. There's a health app in your iPhone under cardio fitness. Look at VO2 max. And the only way you can increase it is you do aerobics. Okay, fast walking, running, biking at a high speed. Like tomorrow morning, I do a Tabata ride. Monday morning, it's a 20-minute Tabata ride. Just again, I found my structure in VO2 max, which is bike as hard as you can for 20 seconds, take 10 seconds off, and 20 seconds again for 24 times. I do that in the morning. VO2 max, focus on VO2 max. And the next one is muscle strength. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to John Prather, whose background, as Shobit shared, professional football. He understands how to build muscle and also for longevity. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John to take it away from here.
Thank you so much, Rajiv, for that amazing introduction. I don't know what to say. I mean, Rajiv covered literally everything. Talked about the 4 pillars of health, sleep, stress, activity, nutrition. All of these are so important. And just like Rajiv mentioned, with my background, I used to play collegiate and then professional. I played football. These are things that I didn't learn. You learn how to lift weights, you learn how to do, different things. But when you understand optimal health in terms of every aspect of your life, it's critical. So I want to jump in. I want to wrap up last couple of minutes and talk a little bit about how to build muscle. But before I do so, I want a little bit of interaction with those of us on the call. So if everybody on the call could just put in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how seriously would you say you've been taking your health over the past couple of months or couple of years? 1 being haven't been a priority at all, eat whatever you want, don't work out, do anything. 10 being super strict, you kind of keep yourself on a, strict diet, you work out every day, and everything like that. Okay, we're getting some, I see 8, 9, we got some 5, some 7, some 6s. Perfect. Okay, so nobody wants to say, okay, we got 115 out of 10. Wow. Samsung, I don't know your name, but shout out to you. You definitely got the highest number. So we're not getting many. Obviously, I'm sure if you're on this call, you're probably not in that 0 to 2 to 3 range. Because you wouldn't even have hopped on a health and wellness call if you didn't. Oh, Zach, perfect. So it looks like everybody's kind of in that middle ground. Not quite. A few people are at that 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, but most people are kind of in that 4 to 6, 4 to 7 range. The purpose of today's call and the purpose of, like Rajiv mentioned, our community is to help you take that next step. So let's say you're at a 4, a 5, a 6. How can we help get you from that to maybe a 7 or an 8? Maybe you're already at an 8 or a 9 or even a 10. How can we help you get, all the way to a 10 and potentially beyond? But how can you do it more effectively? How can you keep the long term in mind? Because again, you might be doing everything right in your own mind correct right now, but again, having a community, having other people to kind of bounce ideas off of is critical. Again, whether it be in your fitness or any other aspect of your life. So I'm glad you guys shared that. I'm glad you guys kind of did that. And if you do choose to partner with our community after today's call, remember the number that you put. And when you work with the person who's invited you, set a goal or kind of have an idea within the next 30 to 90 days of how can, did your health get to that next level for yourself? So that way you kind of know and you can track, because if you have a goal, we can track that goal. So perfect. So let's jump right in. I want to talk a little bit about the one thing as I've, retired from football and started working a normal 9 to 5, being an entrepreneur. What is the one thing that I've noticed in my research that has helped me, that I've realized is a key indicator of longevity, of, lowering your chronic disease rates, and even potentially, reducing the chances of you, developing those cancer cells that everyone's a little bit fearful of. So let me jump into that, because the number one indicator that can help you with those things is muscle. So let me share my screen. If you guys could just give me a thumb if you're able to see this in your end. Okay, perfect. And let me share this out. Okay, perfect. So muscle, the key to longevity, health, and peak performance. So I want to start off this portion of it with a short little video which talks about some of the top tips when it comes to building muscle and why is it important for us to develop. Let me click this.
5 things I wish more people knew about muscle and longevity as a board-certified doctor. Number 1, more muscle means better blood sugar, better insulin sensitivity, and better aging. It's not just about how ripped you look at the gym. Number 2, muscle mass is a better predictor of lifespan than BMI. Strong muscles reduces your risk of death from all causes. Yep, all causes. Number 3, if you're tired all the time, you might need more muscle, not more coffee. Muscle helps regulate mitochondrial health and energy production. Number 4, walking is great, but it doesn't build muscle. And number 5, more muscle also leads to better brain aging.
Perfect. So obviously the clear answer is to build muscle. And one thing that I definitely want to mention on this, because again, having been an athlete and been in kind of the health and wellness industry for a while now, one of the common, I guess, not objections, but kind of the common sort of pushbacks on working out or building muscle is that, well, if I just eat the right food, I don't necessarily need to work out because I'm going to have the good health that I want. And obviously, as the doctor mentioned, as we've talked about, building muscle is key, because when you think of, if I go to the next slide, I love this picture where it talks about these 2 women are the same age. One obviously looks very well, one's a little bit more sickly, and the big difference is the decisions they make on a daily basis. Building muscle is key in terms of especially longevity, because when you think of yourself in your later years of life, the thing that you need is the muscles to stand up, sit down, to do different things, grip strength. Those are things that even if you eat the right foods, you don't necessarily develop those muscles. You have to work out your muscles in order to build your muscles. So nutrition, like Rajiv mentioned, is definitely critical. If you eat whatever you want and work out, that's also not good, but it's a combination of both. So again, coming out of today's webinar, it's going to be a matter of, again, what daily decisions that you make. Again, a lot of you mentioned that it kind of seems like you're making good decisions, you're on the right track, but again, how can you take it to that next level? Because I'm sure everybody on the call wants to live as long and as healthy as possible. But it's critical to take those right steps. So again, like we talked about, why build muscle? 3 main reasons. Number 1 is that it correlates to longevity. That's the big thing. So if you're somebody that wants to live a long life, live healthy, obviously building muscle is critical, because just like I mentioned, the daily movements that you're going to need to do, obviously you're going to need muscle to do that. Like Rajiv mentioned, every decade you're losing about 6 to 8% of your muscle if you're not taking, if you're not prioritizing it. So again, I would highly recommend, again, getting into a routine where you're building muscle and where you're exercising. Again, prevents metabolic diseases, and reduces the chances of cancer. One thing that I realized, again, in my research and just getting into the health and wellness industry, is that the cancer cells that we already have them in our bodies. The difference between them becoming the cancer, the big C that we see, that you're obviously scared of the diagnosis, is if you feed those cancer cells the wrong things over a long period of time, they develop into obviously the disease that you don't want. But if you can starve those cancer cells and build your muscle, insulin resistance, that's the key difference between developing those diseases or potentially, preventing them. Again, genetics, like Rajiv said, play a role, but your lifestyle is what's going to ultimately pull the trigger, like Rajiv mentioned. So I jump in, the question becomes, okay, now that we understand muscle is critical for your daily health and your long-term health, how do I actually build it and protect it over, your lifespan as you age. Because just like Rajiv said, if you just sit there and do nothing, like they say, if anything left to itself, tends to move further and further towards destruction. If you don't do anything with your health or with your muscles, you're naturally going to lose it. So what are some things that we can do that build a muscle as we get older? Well, the biggest thing I would recommend, as you can see in this picture, I love the quote, is that exercise is king. As we've talked about, movement, walking, exercising, lifting weights is critical, but nutrition is queen. Putting those two together, and you have a kingdom. So it's not only just exercise, working out, being a gym rat, and it's also not only just nutrition, eating the right things. It's a combination of both. So I like to say, ever since even learning from Rajiv, who's been somebody that I've learned a lot, I use this equation to get optimal health. It's exercise plus nutrition plus supplementation equals optimal health. Because again, exercise is critical. You need to move your body. You need to eat the right things. But as Rajiv mentioned, in our daily diets, you're probably not getting all of the vitamins and nutrition that you need every single day. So that's where supplementation comes into play. Now, again, let's be honest. If we could get all of the supplements, all the nutritions we wanted in our whole life, just in our daily life, we wouldn't need to buy supplements. We wouldn't need to take vitamins, and that would be fantastic. But we have to be real with ourselves. The current lifestyles that we have probably aren't getting us all the vitamins and nutrients that we want. Just like Rajiv said, vitamin D, a big one. Most people don't get it very much. I know a lot of people, especially in my generation, they're iron deficient, they're anemic, they have other different diseases and things like that, might not be super weighing them down, but if left unattended for many, many years can cause problems later on in life. So having supplements that can help you bridge those nutrient gaps, I think, is absolutely critical. And that's where our business team comes into play, is where we can help target those supplements to you so that you can obviously live the optimal life. Another quote that I'll mention out of a journal that was reviewed in 2013 states that targeted supplementation of protein and amino acids around working out can boost your muscle protein synthesis, or building your muscles, by up to 30 to 50% compared to just working out alone. So again, what does that mean? That means if you were to just work out, do the same things that you're normally doing without proper supplementation, you'd be on the right track. But if you were to just add the right supplements, again, we're not telling you to just take anything and everything. You want to make sure you're taking the right things for your body. You can then increase your muscle growth by 30 to 50% by just taking the right targeted supplements. And that's what we want to do, is we want to provide you with information so that you can make the right decisions for yourself. So let's jump right in. So some endorsements. Rajiv already kind of mentioned it. Like he mentioned, our Nutrilite brand, our Excess Sports Nutrition Company, they partner with a lot of different, just to give a little bit of credibility of the brands that we work with. So AC Milan, obviously the world-renowned soccer program out in Europe. Ronaldinho, one of the best soccer players to ever live. Asafa Powell, for those of us that are a little bit younger, you might not know him, but he was the fastest man alive prior to Usain Bolt, held the world record for many, many years. And Kurt Warner, as a professional football player, I've definitely heard of Kurt Warner. So these are just some people that have not only used our supplements at the highest level of competing, but obviously have endorsed these supplements for themselves. There's many others. These are just the top few that I put in there. As we wrap up, here's some recommended products. Rajiv already talked about some of them. He's already given a few, but here's just some from my perspective. Again, as an athlete, I would recommend the Excess Sports Nutrition, or the Excess Energy drinks. They're sugar-free. So again, one of the things when it comes to, chronic diseases and even cancer, they thrive on sugar. So in order for you to work out, one of the struggles with working out and, fueling your body prior to a workout or exercises, a lot of the products that are out in the marketplace have a lot of sugar. So they're feeding some of those things. Even though you're working out, it's kind of, some of it's offsetting. Just like Rajiv gave that example of the muffin, so much sugar, it adds a bunch of calories. In working out, you just eat and then you just, tear it down. So again, Excess Energy drinks is a great pre-workout that I use. Double X, again, it fills all the nutrient gaps. I wish I could dive a little bit deeper, but ask the person who's invited you. They can share with you a lot more details about these products as well. The Excess Muscle Multiplier, it has the essential amino acids that we just talked about, the critical ones that help you with building muscle. I use that personally. The Excess Ignite Powder, this is one of my favorites. It's actually proven to burn fat while you're working out. So if you just take one of those little sticks of powder, pop it in, drink an excess, you're going to have a great workout. And then lastly, our Excess Grass-Fed Whey Protein, again, critical, protein and amino acids. So These two, again, if you're going to get any two, I would definitely recommend the muscle multiplier and the whey proteins, because that has the protein and amino acids. These other products obviously are going to help with your holistic journey as well. So to wrap up the last slide, I would highly recommend, again, if you're looking to join the community, if you're looking to become a part of our nutritional, kind of our wellness community, I'm going to drop this in the chat. So if you can scan the QR code, or I'm going to drop it in the chat, you can save this link. This is a link to our Excess Fitness program. You have to be a customer. So the person who invited you can register you as a customer for free. If you're already a customer, all you have to do is go to this link and you can log in right away. If you're not a customer yet, just text the person who's invited you. They can sign you up in 5 seconds, and you can access it right away. But the Excess Fitness program is going to walk you through. It has 20 to 30 home workout programs. So you don't need any fitness machines or anything. I mean, if you do want to go that route, I'm sure they have programs for that as well. But I use it at home. I don't have any equipment. So you can definitely use it if you just want to kind of start your fitness journey. And it also pairs you with the proper supplements from Excess and from Nutrilite, for the specific goals that you're looking to shoot for. So again, like somebody I think mentioned, Zach, he said he's 15 out of 10. So I'm sure you're probably maybe a young guy who works out a whole bunch. So again, what are your goals? Maybe you want to, lower your, fat and then increase your muscle. So again, that targeted program is going to be slightly different than maybe somebody who's a little bit older that just wants to maintain where they're at, build up a little bit more muscle, go from maybe a 4 to a 6 in terms of their health. So the Excess Fitness program does all of that and more. So I'd highly recommend, again, just reach out to the person who's invited you. They'll be able to sign you up and show you through the program. If you need help going through it, again, reach out to them. They can get you access to more details. But I'd highly recommend, again, just start somewhere. Even if you don't partner with our community, just do something, just move. Because like Rajiv mentioned, like, all the stuff that we talked about, your health is very, very important, and I'd highly recommend. So I hope I added a little bit of value to you guys today. I'm going to kick it back over to Rajiv because I know he has a couple of last things to wrap up with.
Thank you, John. That was wonderful, man. I appreciate you. I know we wanted to do a quick poll before I have a testimonial from our host itself. We talked about the 4 pillars of health, right? So here are the 4 pillars, and we'd love for you to pick more than one if you wanted to. Which pillar do you feel like you need the most help with? And anyone that's not a co-host can vote. So we'll give this about 30 seconds for people to vote on this. And if you're on a phone, it should pop up everywhere. So feel free to vote. And these are the kind of things we'd like to learn, obviously. Right now, sleep, exercise is winning, by the way. I'll share the results here shortly for everybody to see. Looks like we got 60% participation. This is good. Okay. All right. We're at 77% participation. We're going to stop this just in the interest of time. Let me share the results. Okay. Can you all see this okay? Yes? All right. So exercise is the one they need the most help with. The types of exercises, 4 types of exercises. We talked about that. And obviously sleep. So talk to the person that's invited you. Maybe you need to consider magnesium, as I talked about. Again, it depends on your personalized journey. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to bring up our host really quickly to Shobit, because he's gone through a transformation, folks. So I want him to take a minute to talk about what he went through and where he is on his health journey. And then I'll give you next steps and we're done in 5 minutes. So Shobit, take it away.
Yeah.
There you go, Shobit. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks, Rajiv. So, a few years ago, guys, I was putting in approximately anywhere between 10 to 12 hours a workday week every day, and not getting enough sleep, working in a very busy academic hospital in Pittsburgh, and eating processed food, not getting enough sleep, nutrition, having stressful days, and I checked my blood pressure one day, and it used to be 140/90. Just the baseline. Without exercise or without, and with exercise, blood pressure goes down. But I was not getting any exercise, not enough sleep, not enough nutrition. So my health was deteriorating in my mid to late 30s, and I realized that if I don't do something about it now, something, so I ignored it for at least a couple of years until I started getting typical symptoms of, having being very thirsty all the time, eating a lot of carb cravings, eating a lot of carbs, and peeing a lot. So, I checked my blood sugar, turned out to be 420, on a fasting blood sugar. My A1C, I thought it was a glucometer was actually faulty, but then I went to the doctor and they said, no, you have full blown diabetes. And I was 245 to 250 pounds. So, cholesterol came to be around 380 something. So all these numbers were abnormal, of course, and I had to make a choice. They said either you get on insulin or you basically transform. And I chose the second. I said, if I can actually transform my life by, and I was associated with Rajiv already and the team here. So I started taking some serious steps. So mindfulness of eating, portion control, reading what is the nutrition labels, and going through the process of personal transformation, taking the right supplements, and cutting down my hours. And I walked away from clinical medicine to industry. So where instead of stethoscope, I started becoming a strategist and changed my lifestyle. And that improved my health, my happiness levels, my sleep. So the good news is that if I can do it, you can do it too. And there's no magic pill in this. It's all requires is consistency and developing some disciplined habits.
So Shobit, if I could ask you a question, what are your numbers now? The most recent time that you did?
My number is actually currently my A1C is a 4.8. My cholesterol dropped to 80. And initially for 6 to 12 months, I did take medication during those years. But then after that, when my numbers started dropping, I've reversed diabetes completely. I've been off of any medications.
4.9 is amazing, A1C.
From for the last 24 months, no pills, no pills.
And how about weight? You lost weight too, right?
My weight is 202 now.
From 250?
Yes, from 250 to 202. I went down to 195. I was just recently traveling. Then I gained.
Must have had a muffin like me. That's what happens sometimes.
Especially when
you're in the range, 202.
Yeah.
So appreciate you sharing your testimony. Let me wrap up really quickly here with a couple of slides, and we'll respect everybody's time and finish in the next 2 minutes. So just like Shobit shared, folks, your body is your life partner. We only have one body to live in our life, so you got to take care of it, right? And we're not asking for a lifelong commitment. I would suggest, can you commit 90 days with the person that's invited you, set up a follow-up appointment, and reveal your health goals. What are you doing well? What do you need improvement on? And form a partnership with them. Just like how Shobit shared, those numbers don't come down overnight, but it is a journey you got to take. And if you're ready for that, here's what I would recommend. Set up a follow-up meeting, review your health goals with the person that's invited you. Again, we're focused on wellness. If you're taking medication, they're not going to advise you anything. Our goal is to really change direction on the 4 pillars we talked about. Develop a personalized health plan that includes nutrition, maybe some supplementation, and some habits, and begin your 90-day journey. And after 90 days, I promise you, if you follow through, you will be in a much better place and you will have a light bulb moment about your own health. And that's what we want to do for you, right? So hopefully this was helpful for you. Get back with the person that's invited you. And then hopefully we'll see you more healthy and vibrant in 90 days. Take care, everybody.